and a good afternoon. Hopefully, everyone's having an amazing day. And let's see, who do we got in the house with us? Carolyn, thanks so much for coming in. Appreciate it. It's good to see you. Miss Betty, thanks so much for coming in. It's good to see you. Appreciate it. Miss Rachel, thanks so much for coming in. It's good to see you. I really appreciate it. Miss Nisa and David, thank y'all so much for coming in. We appreciate it. Good to see y'all as well. So, hopefully, everyone's had a great week and winding it down for the weekend to come. And I have been busy. Oh my gosh. Tuesday afternoon and all day Wednesday uh, out in the garden. Finally, the rain went away and getting that garden back into shape. Got all the grass out of it. Got it tilled. Uh, Finally planted watermelons and cantaloupes and peanuts. Got that planted today. I thought that the rain would just, you know, flood everything, but it turns out the rain was just about right. And actually, today, when we get through here, I'm going to go put some plant food in the watering can and go water the tomatoes. Help those take off a little better. Uh, I think the video that you guys watched, no, let's see, 2 weeks ago, I think, when I planted the corn with you guys, it's already this tall now. It's already up, growing. And since then, I have planted okra, and it's already something like that. So we've had cucumbers pop up. I think we got 14 plants that came up on their own from last year. Uh, just the potatoes are, they're 2 foot, 3 foot tall already. We had one plant die. We pulled it and had 3 or 4 potatoes about that big around. So there's definitely potatoes on there. Uh, the cabbage is starting to head up already. So we're pretty pleased with the way the garden's going already. And for the first time in 30 something years, we have had deer in our garden. And I just never expected to have that problem, but we had to buy rabbit and deer repellent and put in the garden so they wouldn't eat anything. And luckily for us, they're just walking through. They haven't eaten anything so far. And my phone. Let me grab this phone. I wanted to show you guys a picture. We had an unfortunate thing happen. And my dad's trees, we had an owl nest that we didn't know anything about. Welcome in, Daryl. Thank you so much for coming in. It's good to see you. Really appreciate it. Here's the potatoes that we gathered. But in that, the owls, I think there was 4 or 5 little babies in it. They were probably about that tall. They started getting their flight feathers, but they didn't look like they were quite able to fly yet. Unfortunately, 3 of the babies fell out of the nest, and of course, I got pictures of them. Here's one, and this one's kind of hiding behind a tree. And then we had one that kind of hopped off into the field, and Dad found them, and I got off of work. They were out there all day. And welcome in, Doc. Where you at? There you are. Good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. And welcome in, Karen. Thanks so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. Oh, yeah. It is. That's one thing about cucumbers. They come up every year, so I don't have to replant those. But I tried to call everybody to get us some help with these babies because we have had bobcat sightings recently and there's dogs. We didn't want anything to happen to the little baby owls. So I called the game warden, and all they had to say was they never said let them die. They just said let nature take its course. But they basically said let those things die. But all they were interested was arresting me or charging me with having a feather or a talon if they die. And I was just like, are you kidding? Like, y'all are just interested in money? So I got aggravated with that. We come home, and the next morning I got up and I called multiple sanctuaries. One never called me back. The other one was in Birmingham, which, I mean, thankfully, welcome in Flying Squirrels. Good to see you. Appreciate it. Uh, Dad had to go pay his tags, and I took him down there and paid those. But he happened to ask, he said, do you ladies happen to know any way or that we can get help with this? And luckily, welcome in, Lily. Thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it. Luckily, she's like, well, let me see what I can do. And she gave me a phone number to a rescue that just opened up about an hour from here. They never called me back, but luckily, this morning when I went over there, yesterday afternoon, we put out a pot of water and I laid a long piece of tin kind of against the tree so that the little owls had, could feel like they could safely come out of their little hiding spot and drink water. And I think that that's all they needed because this morning they were gone. Either they flew off or the mother finally came back for them. And the reason why I say that that's what happened was there was no like feathers or anything from where something would have attacked them or anything. So we think that they may have climbed their way back up into the tree, which they said they might do, or one of the mother or father owls came back. But luckily, like I said, hopefully they're in a safe place now. Because if it was a dog or something, there would be feathers everywhere and it wouldn't be pretty. But that was not the case. So, like I said, hopefully they're in a safe place and they're good. And last week in the live stream, I told y'all about my grandpa dying. He's actually from another state, and somebody in our neighborhood, I don't know about neighborhood, but in the community, uh, honored him with they paid to have a obituary put in our local newspaper, and it took up a good bit. Like most of the people that's in here get a few sentences, but he got paragraphs. But through this, I learned some things that I never knew. Apparently, he was a deputy sheriff. I never knew that. And I knew that he was a Vietnam veteran, but I never knew he was a specialist. He was what they called a tunnel rat, that they would send in tunnels after the Vietnamese or whatever. And something else that I learned his mother's name. I've known her my whole life. Like she passed 3 years before my mother died. I think 11 years ago. But we always called her Rosie because that's what we've always known her as. But I learned that her name is Rosella. I had no idea that that was her name. And it just blew my mind. And then I also learned my grandpa's father's name, which I never knew that either. But I learned a lot from this little article, and I was pretty honored that whoever did that did it. I was thankful for it, and he got to be laid to rest in a cemetery just right outside of an orchard, an apple orchard, just down the road from where he lived at. So we were. I was kind of pleased to hear that. I wasn't able to go to the funeral because it's like a 9 hour drive from here, and we can't do that right now. That's for sure. But um, it was an honor to see that somebody had paid that tribute to him and paid to have his story put in the newspaper, which that was so awesome. Was not expecting it at all, but um, see the video yesterday that came out. If you guys didn't see it, we visited a park. Me and Hope. You guys got to see some of the Tennessee River from the Sand Mountain view, which people across the world have never seen. But boy, it's beautiful. You guys will have to go and check it out. And got some pictures of Hope while we were there for her little school year picture or whatever we always take. And so this neat video. Hopefully you guys will get to check that out. And I guess we'll get into our first part. We're going to dig into the Appalachian Folklore Unveiled book. Oh, yeah. Sand Mountain is very beautiful. 100%. I want to say that those are in the video, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say they are. I thought I had put them in there. I may not have, but I swore that I did. Give me a second and I'll see. It'll take me just a second. Let me see. Give me just a second. If I didn't put those pictures in there, I sure meant to. Yeah, they're in there. They are in there. So if you haven't seen that, you can check out those pictures, which I couldn't remember if I put them in there. I knew I meant to, but all right. So today's superstition, we're going to be covering two. One is coins and a couple of everyday superstitions. So let me get off of this screen and we'll go over and read this right quick before we get into today's story. So here we go. It says coin represent wealth and currency and carry symbolic value. In many cultures, including Appalachia, they symbolize prosperity, luck, and financial well being. Superstitions involving coins often leverage these symbolic associations. Coins have historically been used in folk magic practices for their symbolic significance. Folk magic practitioners may incorporate coins into rituals, charms, and talismans believed to bring luck, protection, and other desired outcomes. Coin divination. Practitioners of folk magic in Appalachia may use coins as tools of divination. Tossing coins and interpreting their arrangement or the side facing up can provide insights into questions or concerns. Offering coins. Placing coins on a certain on certain objects or locations as an offering may be considered a way of seeking favor or protection. This practice is often tied to the spiritual beliefs, and many involve leaving coins at grave sites and sacred sites, which I have myself left. Um, like when you're in a cemetery, if you find a soldier's grave, um, it's a normal tradition to leave a penny, but the higher the worth of the amount of coin is how much you knew it. If you go to a grave and you see like a quarter or a 50-cent piece or $1, it's because that person who left that coin personally knew that soldier. So that's one that I've heard my whole life. Found coins. Superstitions related to coins abound in Appalachian folklore. For example, the belief that finding a coin on the ground brings good luck, or that discovering a coin with a hole in it attracts prosperity. Hi there, Carolyn. Welcome in. It's good to see you. Coin charms. Carrying specific coins as charms or talismans is a practice rooted in superstition. Certain coins may be believed to bring protection, luck, or other protective influences when kept on one's person. Let me show you one that I personally carry. Let's see if I got it in here. Yep. All right, let me turn the camera on. I just carry this one because it's unique. This one's actually a hobo coin that of the Kennedy $50 that was carved by a hobo. Look at that. Looks like it's been carved into a skull. Strange. I forget where I found this thing, but for the longest time, I carried a Morgan Morgan dollar, silver dollar, in my wallet. A friend of mine gave it to me. It was her father's very first day's pay, and he always kept it. And she didn't have children, so she left it to me and gave it to me. So I have it put up in my coin stuff. All right. Now let's get into some everyday superstitions. Some Appalachian superstitions are not easy to categorize, but nonetheless frightening enough to abide by. Women are not to answer during the first few days of menstruation, or they risk cramping to death. Never heard that one before. Another untimely death might be caused by rocking an empty rocking chair or putting shoes on your bed. Putting shoes on my bed would bring up a noggin knock, because Autumn would not like that. It is a common belief that the body can carry signs and warnings of impending events. Every If your foot itches, it may be a sign of a long journey ahead. Have you ever heard the saying, "My nose itches"? Somebody is coming with a hole in their breeches. If your nose itches, it's a sign that company may be coming. If your ear itches, someone is talking about you. Superstitions about babies are ingrained in Appalachian folklore as well. Babies symbolize new beginnings and the con- continuation of life. Superstitions surrounding babies may reflect a cultural reverence for the cycles of life, and certain rituals or practices are believed to ensure a positive start for a newborn. Choosing a baby name is a significant decision. Some Appalachian superstitions suggest that it's important to keep the chosen name a secret until after the baby is born to protect the child from negative influences. Additionally, some superstitions caution against uh, complimenting a baby's appearance too much. It is believed that too many compliments might attract envy or negative energy, potentially leading to harm. After superstitions about babies, another superstition about babies is that you should wait until after the first birthday to cut the baby's hair. In Appalachian culture, it is believed that a baby's hair possesses protective qualities and cutting it prematurely may remove this protective energy. That's weird. Some of these I have never heard before in my life. I've heard the one if your ears burning, somebody's talking about you, and there's some of this I've heard before, but a lot of this I've never heard before. But especially rocking an empty rocking chair could cause you to untimely die. That's strange. But next week, we're going to start the omens chapter with weather omens. So there's some neat ones coming about that to look forward to. And let's see. Little jar of found coins. I call it my pennies from heaven, although that's cool. That's pretty neat. Let's see. Yeah, Autumn's grandmother, like if you took your shoes off, you better not set them on her tables because that'd get you a whooping that you definitely didn't want. But, all right. I guess with that, I'm going to get into the story today. And this one is called The Church Across the Street. An uneventful evening, movie nights are out and exploring creepy churches is in. Holy crap. Good to see you, alligator horse. A $10 gold piece? Dang. Uh, I actually have put up here somewhere. I have found a Civil War medal. It has the ribbon and the medal. It did have the little pin, but the pin rotted away. That I found metal detecting. I love metal detecting. So, all right. So here we go. When I was working as a delivery truck driver, I was dating a girl. We had been together for about 6 months when her family decided to move across the country. She went with them, and we decided to try a long distance relationship. During one of her visits, she flew in on a Thursday for a weekend long stay. At the time, I shared a small 2 bedroom apartment with a childhood friend. It was a crude basement apartment, but I was happy there. Across the street from us was a creepy old church, probably built several decades ago. The old brown paint was peeling off the walls, and it had brittle wooden shingles with a very steep pitched roof, a narrow bell tower at the point. The windows were all frosted so you couldn't see inside them. I never saw anyone go or come from the building. That Friday, as I stepped outside into the dark morning and walked to my truck, I noticed a light in the bell tower. A soft yellow glow seemed out of place in the pre dawn darkness. Like I said, I'd never seen anyone enter this church and definitely never seen a light on before. What was even stranger, I didn't remember the light being on when I got home from the airport late the night before. I shrugged it off, got into the truck, the gravel crunching under my tires. That afternoon, I returned home to work from work. The sun was too bright to tell if the tower light was still on. I walked inside and greeted my girlfriend, the scent of her perfume filling the air. Did you notice that church light on last night when we got home? Well, no. Why? Is it on? Well, yeah, the one up in the tower. Well, that's creepy, she said, but didn't bring it up again. Later that week, we made plans to take my parents' jet skis out to a lake near my apartment. We were gone most of the day and stayed out until sunset. The cool evening air, a welcome relief from the day's heat. We dropped the jet skis off at my parents' house and headed back to the apartment. As we rounded the corner to my street, I noticed that light was still on. See? Pointing to the church tower. Oh, super creepy, she responded, a slight shiver in her voice. We parked the car and got out, both of us staring across the street at the church. The old building loomed ominously in the dark, the single light in the tower like a watchful eye. Someone probably forgot to turn it off. You're probably right, trying to shake off the uneasy feeling. I pondered for a second before responding. Let's see. The next day, Annie had an idea. What's the scariest movie you ever seen? I'm not sure. Probably The Woman in Black. That was the one of the first horror movies I remembered watching as a young teen with my friends. It scared the life out of me. I didn't sleep well for at least a week after. I hadn't watched it since then, but I remember it having the worst effect on me. Okay, let's watch that tonight. Then after, see if we can figure out that light in the church. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. Being a fan of the paranormal, I agreed. After the sunset, we cozied in for a night of terror, but I had no idea how bad it would get. We finished the movie, and although it wasn't nearly as scary as I had remembered it, it still spooked me pretty good, especially with that church in the back of my mind. All right, I said, standing up once the movie was over. You ready? I stuck my hand out and helped her up off the couch. Yes, sir, she said, her voice a mix of excitement and nervousness. I walked to my bedroom and stuffed my pistol in my waistband, just in case. I realized bullets won't do much against ghosts, but they would against intruders, and it made me more comfortable feeling its weight against my hip. I snagged a flashlight on my way out the door, and we headed into the night. It was around 1 a.m. as we crossed the street to the old church, the light in the window still on. I looked up and down the road, making sure we weren't spotted. We approached one of the side windows, and huddled near the ground next to it, the damp grass soaked through our jeans. "No way, this one is open," I said as I pressed my palm upward against the glass. But to my surprise, the window opened smoothly without even a fight. I found an old roof board in the flower bed near us and used it to prop the window open in case we needed to quickly get out. I boosted myself up through the window, then helped up my girlfriend. The window we entered through was one of many lining the main room. A large pulpit stood facing rows of dust covered pews, half of them piled taller than me, with old furniture and garbage. We screwed up our noses all the way. We screwed up our noses at the musty smell of the decay and abandonment. We wandered around inside the church, exploring all the side doors and hallways. When we found the door to that bell tower, we opened the door and light flooded into the main room. We slowly climbed the stairs, listening for anyone up there. Our footsteps echoed in the empty stairwell, each creak of the old wood making us pause. We reached the top and found a small room full of boxes and more garbage. Having walked through the whole building now without finding anyone, I relaxed a little. We were headed back downstairs. I left the light on so no one would know we were there. We made our way to the window and climbed out, closing it behind us. "Well, that was spooky," my girlfriend said, slightly disappointing. Nothing had happened. We crossed the street and entered the apartment, the familiar soundings of a comfort after our adventure. We were both very tired, and I was grateful the church was only across the street instead of a long walk or drive. We got ready for bed and quickly fell asleep. I was woken up sometime in the night to my arm being shaking. Hmm? Not even remotely close to being awake. My name was called as the shaking continued. "Huh?" I groaned again. My name was whispered once again. "What?" I said louder, opening my eyes. I could just make out the silhouette of my girlfriend sitting straight up in the bed next to me, shaking my arm. "What?" I said again. She raised her arm and pointed to the dark corner of our bedroom. "Who is that?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. All traces of sleepiness left my body in an instant. I shot up in bed, throwing the blankets off, nearly knocking over the lamp, turning it on. I grabbed my Smith& Wesson that I kept on my nightstand, racked around into the chamber, and spun around. I aimed it where she had pointed. The room was empty except for me and her, who had now lowered her arm and was just sitting in bed, her eyes glazed over. Who was that? She didn't respond. Her eyes were closed. She appeared to still be asleep. I called her name. I got no response. She then lay down and fell asleep without saying another word, leaving me standing in the middle of the room at 4 a.m., my heart pounding in my throat. I unchambered my rounds, set the gun back on my nightstand, and got back into bed. But I did not sleep that night. I unplugged my phone and started doom scrolling on social media. There was no way I could sleep after that. I kept the lamp on for the rest of the night as I sat in my bed on my phone, jumping at every little sound. Annie didn't wake again until the next morning around 9 or 10. I must have looked like hell because she asked if I was all right shortly after waking up. I told her what had happened in the middle of the night. She just stared at me blankly. I don't remember any of that. I don't even remember waking up last night at all, with how late we went to bed. She then let me sleep a few hours before we got on the day's plans. Before she left for home, she told me that the previous night she had a dream that there was a woman in our room. Annie broke up with me soon after, and nothing else happened in that apartment. I've since moved out, but I'll never know if it was just a bad dream or if there was really a woman present that only presented itself to my girlfriend. Had this been the woman in black? Maybe. Or had something followed us home from the church? Never underestimate the spooky power of a good horror movie. And if your partner starts sleep talking about shadow people, it might be time to find a new apartment or at least invest in a nightlight. I don't know what I think about that one. Because, you expect when you go to a church that's been abandoned for years and there's a light on, you expect to see something or someone, but there's nothing there. And when you get home after watching those creepy movies, you go to sleep to be woken up to see a woman in black standing in the corner. When you turn the light on, she's gone. I don't know. That's creepy as all get out right there. But it makes you wonder a little bit with that event kind of causing them to separate. I bet there was something to that story, not just some hysterical or hysteria caused by a movie they watched. Because if she never remembered seeing it, but she left anyway, it makes you think like there was something kind of, I don't know, maybe it put a curse on them or something, or it followed them from the church. And I don't know, it's just a strange story either way, but very strange indeed. Uh, I got to make sure that I mark that so I know where I'm at for next week. Let's see. The one that we're going to be doing next week is. Right, where are you? Church across the street. There it is. This one's called Looney's Bridge. It's a haunted story about some bridge out in the forest. So, uh, we always like those kind of stories because there's always something that caused that event to happen. Usually, when you see a spirit, there's something that happened terrifying or just horrific before that. But who knows? But right now, I'm still working on the story that's coming out Wednesday. It is going to be about some strange buildings that is found inside of a cave and the kind of messed up history that goes with that. So that'll be coming out Wednesday. And then I actually finished writing the script for the one after that. I think I mentioned in the last live stream that I had found the horrific story behind this whole family, basically, that had passed all at one time. And I've already got the script written for that one. And the outro to that video, I actually filmed on location at the grave site. So you guys will actually get to see the graves. And each headstone has a little picture about like this of each one of the ones who passed away. So that'll be coming. And I should have set up the camera and filmed a video yesterday with us cleaning up the garden for the first time in 2 weeks after the rain quit. It looks so different now. All the grass is gone. We pulled out all the grass around all the plants, and things are starting to grow now. And I was actually thinking about going live over there and just doing like a garden update, but I just didn't feel like it today. I didn't have the phone set up and all that, but maybe sometime soon, or maybe I'll just shoot a video or something, letting you guys see how everything's changed. So the next time we go live, like I said, we'll be digging into some omens, the story of the bridge, and coming Wednesday will be that story about some strange structures found in the cave and what they actually were. And then this last week, last video that came out yesterday, me and Hope went to a park, and we actually got some nice pictures of her, and there's beautiful sceneries and stories. So if you guys hadn't watched it, go check that out. We appreciate each and every one of you guys coming in and giving us a comment and thumbs up, sharing us out with your friends, helping us grow. I checked earlier today, we're actually at 2,080 subscribers. So we gathered 20 subscribers in the last little bit. So we appreciate that and all you guys' support. And I guess I'll let you guys go for this afternoon and let y'all get back to your daily routines. And hopefully you guys have a great weekend. And I'm going to load up and go. Welcome in there, Shana and Spencer. Good to see y'all. Appreciate y'all for coming in. But I'm going to be jumping off of here and loading up and going and mixing up some Miracle Grow and watering some tomato plants. So we appreciate y'all again. And until next week, we'll see y'all later. Have a nice weekend, everybody. See y'all later.